'Tis the season of indie devs because currently there are a whole plethora of great little titles coming out, and I'm really excited to see and tell you all about them. The latest of these to catch my attention goes by the name of Turbo Overkill, which sits in that family of indies that sets to revolutionise that old school look of first person shooter. So this is made by Trigger Happy Interactive. This is the first game that they've produced, but regardless of that, it looks relatively well polished and something that's a little bit unique. The game at its heart is a futuristic synth cyberpunk styled game, and the engine looks like it got stuck somewhere between Quake 3 and Deus Ex. But this is no problem at all, as this is a game that's aimed at people who love retro-styled shooters. The story is just as over top as its title. You star as Johnny Turbo, who needs to clear up paradise. The city has been taken over a cult of synthoid cyberpunk-esque robots, and if you don't stop them here and now, it's going to be world domination next. The story is completely over the top and ridiculous, and I'm okay with this because it's secondary to that fast-paced action that we're going to talk about now. So as we've already covered, you play Johnny Turbo, and Johnny Turbo is a enhanced individual himself. So the game's perspective is played from first person mode. You play as Johnny, who is part cyborg himself, and the trailer kind of outlines how the game is meant to start and go on, which starts off with him sawing off the end of his shotgun with his chainsaw legs. One of the things that really stands out with this game is that once you start moving, you're not really meant to ever stop. There's a whole slew of mechanics that kind of aid your momentum. To start with, your character moves at a ridiculous knots of speed, finding yourself dancing around faster than some sort of amphetamine-driven ballerina. Some of these abilities include a constant sliding mechanic in which you get your chainsaw legs out and grind anything that's in front of you. There's also a grappling hook that you can zoom around, very similar to the Doom franchise. However, when you want to slow down and appreciate the carnage that's going on around you, you have an active ability called Hero Time. Now, I couldn't find any more details on this, but they're saying it's slow motion but with a twist. So how that rolls out, I guess we'll just have to play the game and see. Similar to the Doom series, there's a whole slew of upgrades that you can get for your character, including special powers when you kill a boss. Aside being able to upgrade your own abilities, there's also upgrades for the various weapons you get throughout the game and an additional talent tree. The more enemies you kill, the more cash you get, the more you get to spend on upgrades. There is an absolute metric bucket load of guns as well in this. I've seen dual pistols, mini guns, taser guns, rocket launchers, and many more promised from the developers. For those who are a massive fan of the Ghost Runner series, there's also wall running to keep you entertained, and when you're not literally blowing everything away with your small personal arsenal, you've got a flying car to aid you as well. This game really does feel like they've taken a lot of awesome games, thrown them into a blender and made some sort of retro smoothie. Whether or not this works is yet to be said, but so far on paper it sounds pretty good. No good carnage shooter would be the same without a decent music track, and it sounds absolutely awesome. It's a mix between retro hardcore rock synthwave, which has overlapping resonation with tracks such as Dance with the Dead. I think it's also worth mentioning the colour palette on this looks awesome. It's your typical synthy cyberpunk bright colours, which I think really resonate to the aesthetic. Now I know there's a whole community of fans out there who absolutely love titles this, and unfortunately you're just going to have to wait a little bit longer for the release of this. Currently the Steam page just says that it will be out soon TM. Whether that means it's going to be immediately or several months down the line, we'll have to wait. But looking at the trailer, it does look pretty well polished, so maybe with a fingers crossed it will be out pretty soon. So if you're a fan of Doom, Quake 3, the classic Duke Nukem series, I highly recommend checking this out. It's also got vibes from Prey and the beloved Wolfenstein 3D. You can check out more details and pictures on the Steam page at the moment. I'm sure the devs will appreciate all the eyes they can get on this title. But for now, this is all the details I've got on this game. I'll give you more when I know more. But until then, have a great week, and I'll be back with more news and reviews soon.